Welcome to ILTV's podcast. Joining us today are two students from the University of Haifa and University of Haifa International, Aidan and Daniela. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So why don't we start by you introducing yourselves, telling us a little bit about where you're from, what brought you to Israel. So Aidan, let's start with you.
Sure. So my name's Aidan Siegel. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Making Aliyah was a dream of mine since the moment I first stepped foot on Israeli soil about 5 years ago, and I'm happy to be here today to say that my dream came true.
Incredible. And just a little fun fact, I also am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
Amazing.
Small world. And Daniela, what about you?
So, my name is Daniela Florea. I'm 25 years old and coming from Bucharest, Romania. And I would say that my dream was to move also to Israel from the first time I came here, because it was everything so different, so from the language to culture to overall vibe. And I remember the first feeling I had was like, oh my God, I want to live here and I want to be surrounded by this cool environment and I want to challenge myself and to learn new things.
Incredible. So why did you choose the University of Haifa specifically?
So, first of all, University of Haifa, I chose the University of Haifa because I like the idea of studying in the top of the mountain, especially with this hot area from here. And it had all the programs. It had the program that I was interested in, which was the diplomacy track. And I also heard from Israelis that it's a respected university, so it just supported my idea of coming here.
Absolutely. And Aidan, what about you? Why did you choose University of Haifa?
Well, I knew I was going to be living in Haifa because my brother-in-law and my sister live here, and I wanted to be close to them. I also wanted to give myself time to sort of acclimate because my Hebrew was and still is pretty limited. I didn't have a job lined up, and I just had the savings from the job I previously had to make it work here. So when I found out about the University of Haifa International School and that they offered a program in Israel Studies, I knew that this would be a really good launching pad for my career and for me to make a life as an Israeli here.
So walk us through a little bit what it's like to be a University of Haifa International master's student.
Sure. So in the dorms, it's a rich mix of different cultures, of language, of scents and foods. It really gives you a unique perspective, and it challenges your preconceived notions about the world when you get to have conversations and make new friends with people from countries you probably would have never otherwise met. And I think that challenge it extends to the classroom as well. Certainly I have my own ideas about Israel, but it's very rewarding to be in the same classroom and be taught by professors who really have prestige in this field, and to provide us with new texts, new thinkers, and new ideas about a country that there's really just so much to learn about.
Mm-hmm. And Daniela, what about you? Walk us through sort of what it's like a day in the life of a U of Haifa International student.
So, first of all, I'm a very active person. I always have to do something, and I'm always rushing, as you know that. And for me, being an international student in Haifa, it feeds this part of me of being active. There's always something to do, always something to learn about, or even in social activities or just educational level, there's always some activities and trips or just things to do in the university. There's always something to do. So I would say that it's very active. It's a very active lifestyle here.
Mm-hmm. And so, Didi, I want to ask, because, this podcast is really about sort of what you're studying, what you're doing at the University of Haifa, because both of you are involved in some pretty interesting areas. So, Didi, I want to start with you. Before we dive into sort of the coursework and what you're doing, you're connected to EcoPeace Middle East. Can you tell us what that is?
So, very interesting. I discovered this non-governmental organization in a field trip from the university, organized by the university to the Knesset. And one of the speakers was from EcoPeace Middle East. And I heard him speak and I had that click. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And that was the moment I learned about climate diplomacy. And for a while, I knew that I want to do something in diplomacy, but I didn't find my thing. So that was the click, the instant click. So I contacted them and asked them to do an internship. And after a couple of interviews, they accepted me. And it was really, really interesting. I did the internship for 10 months. For the first 3 months were during before the war, and after the rest of the months was during the war. And I applied for my intern. I was an intern for the project management program, but I just want to mention that it was for me so fruitful and educational to be surrounded by people during the beginning of the war, because as a student, this is how you learn, and I was surrounded by educated people, and they taught me how to be forgiving, full of love, to think of how to build the peace with everything that I do. So I think it was the best period to be surrounded by this kind of people.
Absolutely. Couldn't have been easy to be here, especially as a foreign student.
Yes.
After October 7th. And, you mentioned this idea of climate diplomacy, which ties into your studies. But I want to understand, what exactly is climate diplomacy, and, how do you hope to work in that field? What exactly do you do?
So, as I mentioned, I learned about climate diplomacy from EcoPeace, and I thought that it's so fascinating how we can use Mother Earth to create peace. Even though it's not maybe the first choice for everybody, there is a tool that you can take it and build peace with it. So I learned this from Israel and how it makes it really nice and smart with the neighbors that we have.
And so, Aidan, let's turn to you now, because you're also studying, that might seem maybe a little bit obvious, in Israel studies. Why did you choose this specific path?
I think the simple answer is Israel is sort of what makes me tick. It's my favorite subject. I truly believe that there's no greater drama than the emergence of the State of Israel in 1948. And there's so many different angles that you can study it from, politically, theologically, culturally. And I think that even if it's just a drop in the water, it gives me a voice and a feeling that I can make a meaningful contribution to a country that I really care about.
So you talk a lot about your love from Israel. Where did this love come from?
I think it was always in the backdrop. Certainly my parents instilled a love for Israel in me. I went to Hebrew school, and Israel became a part of my Jewish identity. But I think the more, the deeper answer, and maybe the more interesting one, is that it comes from my Bobi, from my paternal grandmother, whom I never had the chance to meet because she passed away before I was born. But my family likes to compare me to her because she also had a fierce love for Israel and also a talent for writing. And like me, would oftentimes submit articles and letters to the editor in newspapers where she felt that Israel needed to be defended and had needed a voice to represent her. And I think in many ways Israel is that shared love that enables me to connect on a deeper level to a really special person whom I've never had the chance to meet.
Mm-hmm. And, you mentioned your love of reading, your love of writing, especially about Jewish and Israeli history. We were speaking beforehand. You also said you like classic rock records and graphic design. So how do you tie all of this together?
Well, I mean, I think specifically collecting Israeli rock records is actually like owning a piece of Jewish history. It's also a really fun way to learn Hebrew. As for graphic design, it's just something I really do for fun, but it's really hard not to be inspired to create when you live in a city like Haifa. There's just so many beautiful sites. There's murals everywhere you go. There's just so much subject matter that can really inspire you to want to design something.
Mm-hmm. And so, how are you taking all of this love for Israel, all of your hobbies, how are you sort of tying that into your studies at the University of Haifa?
Well, I think first and foremost, I consider myself a writer. And I think that after October 7th and throughout the war, if there's one thing that I'd be able to contribute to this country, I think that it would be my ability to set the story straight about Israel. As for graphic design, I don't really have any career aspirations for it, but who knows, if the writing career doesn't work out, maybe it's graphic design.
So setting the record straight about Israel, something that's definitely needed today. So, we've covered sort of a little bit about yourselves. We've covered your studies at Haifa University. Now I want to ask you both a little bit about your experiences here in Israel as a whole. Moving to Israel can be a bit of a culture shock, especially for people from Europe, the United States. Can you maybe share with us a little bit, sort of what's the biggest culture shock that you experienced when you moved to Israel?
Definitely the bureaucracy. I think all Olim Chadashim would probably agree with me on that. In Haifa, it would definitely be just as helpful to know Russian in addition to Hebrew. And whenever you're an immigrant and you have to go to the Ministry of Interior and deal with paperwork, the bureaucracy can be pretty intimidating and frustrating, but it's good to be persistent.
And Daniela, did you think of a culture shock?
Yes. So definitely what you see is what you get. And Israelis are very straightforward for good and the bad. And I really love that. They will always say what they think.
What's on their minds, absolutely. Yeah. And okay, now let's get to some fun questions about Israeli food, right? So you mentioned, I think, earlier on the podcast that you like sort of trying the new, different kinds of food, Israeli food. So if you could only eat one Israeli food for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Shawarma. I think Israeli street food is unmatched, and I like the familiarity. I like the comfort. Shawarma.
Daniela?
Malawach.
Oh,
and it's a hard answer because I gained 8 kilos since I moved to Israel. Like, it's so delicious, everything here.
The food is definitely delicious. Yeah. Many people don't know this. I personally like shawarma as well, falafel. All the street food is amazing. And what's the most Israeli thing you've caught yourself doing? So you've been here for a while. Something Israeli that's maybe seeped into your routine.
My brother-in-law always likes to tell me to make it here, you really have to use your elbows. And I don't know if I have the same level of confidence as native Israelis to maybe cut in line at the grocery store, but I think that I'm a much more direct person and maybe more assertive, and maybe that's just all part of becoming Israeli.
Mm-hmm. And Daniela, what about you?
For me, wearing flip-flops all the time. And I love being comfortable. I love that. Like wearing comfortable clothes, comfortable shoes, comfortable makeup.
Less formal here in Israel.
Yes, and it was so hard for me in the beginning. I moved, and just to imagine, I went to the beach with an Israeli friend, and I was wearing full glam makeup with fake lashes, and he looked at me, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, like this is how we do in Europe. We like to prepare for everything. And here I'm just going to the bank in flip-flops, and everybody treats me the same, by the way, and I love that.
Yeah, much lower key in terms of dressing up.
Yeah.
For better and for worse. We still dress up, though, for their evenings. Okay, so Aidan, you talked about Israeli rock and that you like to collect classic rock songs, learn Hebrew from it. So, if you had to create a playlist that represents your life here in Haifa and Israel, what would the first song on it be and why?
So, one of my all-time favorite rock bands, and certainly my favorite Israeli band, is HaYehudim. And there's a song called Mechapes Teshuvah. And while it's thematically kind of dark, and I would say maybe doesn't best represent how really happy I am in Haifa, I think it's really good to listen to look back on, because when times were sort of tough before I made Aliyah, it was a song that I would listen to quite a bit and tell myself, when you become an Oleh, maybe you'll see them in concert. And I did end up seeing them in concert, and it's a song that now I can look back on and say that I made it and how far I've come. And it's also just a pretty cool song.
Wow, and sort of coming full circle. And Daniela, what about you?
Fun fact, I listen to heavy metal. But my personality completely switched when I came to Israel. So I listen to a lot of Mizrahi music and Middle Eastern.
Last question for both of you. For the people watching or listening to this podcast, why would you recommend that other people come to study in Israel, especially now, especially after October 7th, after the war, after everything that we've been through these past couple years? So why should people come to study in Israel now?
Because history's being made here, and you don't want to be on the sidelines for that. I think that it's more important now, more than ever, to contribute to Israel. If it's a country that you believe in, like I do, then certainly one way of doing that is by coming to the University of Haifa International School to learn about the country and to really make an impact.
And Daniela, what about you?
So for me, I've been here before the war and also during, and it was the period that I learned so much, being here during tough times, and I learned how to love so much everything around me, and I learned the resilience, the Israeli resilience. So I think generally the best time to learn is during tough times, and I know it's gonna be better soon, like עוד יותר טוב.
עוד יותר טוב.
Yes. But I think this is the best time where you can really feel the Israeli love, the Israeli resilience, and you feel like a big family here, and you learn from everybody and from everything.
So a beautiful message, and we'll end, I think, the podcast on that note. Daniela and Aidan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.